Hello, sir. Double trouble.
Oh.
Good morning.
Morning.
I've been running all over this morning.
Yes, you have. You see Marley actually posted on Facebook.
I know, I got up early. I got actually to the dealer before she did. And she said, Frank, if you'd gotten here at 7:30, I would have been ready to go. And I said, well, I couldn't judge the traffic, honey, so, you know.
Actually, if you had favorites on your phone, you could judge.
I do, I don't want to have my phone, thank you.
Right.
But I got there faster than I beat her by 2 minutes. Then she had to check in and she said, I have a recall and we're going to fix it while it's here. Then I have to go to Jared at Ray and Priest and pick her up at 5:30 and take her back to the dealer. So, we're going to do it while he's back. We're going to make him.
Oh, I don't know. I thought this might give us a better signal because this is actually the router right there.
Okay.
So yeah, let's put Wally up there.
We're going to have to put Wally up here.
Everybody over here.
We're going to put Wally up here.
Why?
For the camera.
Oh, I see.
Oh my heavens, what a baby today.
Let's sit over there. You lead the Bible study.
Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning.
Where's your little laundry?
Actually, that's where I always sit anyway. So
Yeah.
the Wally can sit there and.
Well, I can sit out home.
Great.
Sit at the
What time did
refreshment
you
table.
send it? At 6 o'clock?
So actually, that's not good because all they see is my backside.
And getting ready.
I'm sure sorry about Monday. I had no idea I was screwed up your taking.
Oh,
The Joshua.
yeah, I'm not worried about it.
That lady couldn't be heard.
Yeah.
My inclination was, I was going to sit here this whole hour and not hear her.
Yeah, well, they should have had a microphone.
Supposed to have it until time. She said it was booked.
Miss Kathy.
I'm fine. I'm actually fine.
But anyway.
Anyway,
Anyway, when I.
we want to go to Mary Poppins. July 2nd.
We'll have their slide presentation. We don't have to watch.
Yeah, who are you doing that in July or August?
Well, I thought August.
I thought August too.
That's not a problem.
I just thought somebody should take the initiative and make sure that we.
I'm here. I'm glad you did,
Robert
because
said, why
otherwise,
can't we go?
you know, what you did is you increased, you decreased who will hear it on the internet, but you increased who will actually hear it. It was there, yeah. Wait, and look now.
So when I talk about, oh, I'm moving that table.
Yeah.
Oh, over here?
Over where the computer is.
Oh,
I'm gonna put it higher so that all you see is my bald spot on the backside.
I just got trying to put it on the second
Oh,
one.
Oh, what a concept. I was gonna lift it up
That's
and over.
that's why I needed help.
No, listen, that's another comment I'll have.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, So let's other people brains work like that. I thought I would. Let's put it at the head of the table there. Watch your bag there.
I was at Tempe at 7:30. Meeting Rebecca at the
Like that? Yeah.
There
we go.
Black table would be.
Yeah.
And the second is a bad day, because that's the main reason.
The 4th of July, I do too. Because I know people want, I'm going to go to the 4th.
The 6th of August.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
No, Farrakhan's the first Tuesday, Sages is the second Thursday.
You're sitting here. I am?
Also the first Tuesday.
Yeah, I get to make up for the 23rd.
Bald spot.
That bald spot
Then,
is that side.
Well, I have a long spot.
You can certainly be wherever you want, Wally.
The 6th of August.
Yes.
Okay.
Sharon, any clubs?
Huh.
That's what I thought.
I know where they are. I will go
What?
get some.
Cups.
We accept everybody that they It occurred to me.
Wally is what?
I was so proud of my niece when I knew that when I was touching that. The only problem with my niece is that he actually looked pretty good.
I think so.
When did you do that? During
During one of the
Love study.
studies. He was having fun. I always do. So I thought I'd make that very good.
What? Very fun.
Here I am. Hello. So anyway, we went to the kitchen to get cups. The cups are on their way, and this was here. So whoever provided that, thank you very much.
Connie? Well, I know
Because
that
otherwise it splits my
stuff for us.
I didn't bring him in.
I think,
Are they there?
did they come to the dining room or I saw them walking?
Okay. So, I took it for the 5:30 back to traffic. I took a breakfast at the Windy City Cafe. Grand. Oh, she was a grand. Grand. The little one's called me Granny. The Windy City Cafe. Very good. Yeah, so I had a French toast and they brought me 4 pieces of French toast, plus eggs, plus bacon. So she took the leftover French toast home.
Chocolate cake here. Big feet.
No, we have it next week too because we didn't get finished, right?
Oh, we said we'd go through the end of June.
I thought we said we were going to end on the 20th.
No, we said about the last first.
And why did you announce that this Thursday was the last Bible study?
Facebook. Andrew Rockman.
He thought he heard you say that in church, so
I didn't say anything.
then he's hearing things. That's okay.
You're solo or
Yes, Cynthia is online. Hello, Cynthia. We love you. We miss you.
She's not there yet.
Is she online yet?
Who?
Cynthia.
Cynthia, she better be. She didn't answer.
Oh, she can't answer you.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. It does not tell how many.
But in there 18, 19, 20.
Okay, I have to back up on this.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot.
I told you we had to read 18 on your own, but
Right, what we're gonna talk about.
we're gonna talk.
I was up to 19, so I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I love these little titles we put in your name. The
Sure.
Lament over fallen Babylon. Warning of Kate
I don't have those. Do you have a message translation up?
I have an idea.
No?
Oh, yeah.
That's not one of the ones listed in this. I have to go and download some of the Bibles.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I did more than I realized.
Piece of chocolate cake left.
I know, but there's also 3 other Bible selections, which I'm not real familiar with. So.
Piece of chocolate cake left.
It's too early. It's too early. Today is.
And I can't find the Chips Ahoy anymore. Oh well.
Oh, yeah, well, I know they were up there.
I don't see them anywhere. They're not in the refrigerator and they're not on the counter.
We had left them.
The honey grams are there. You left them on the counter?
I had thought that they were.
One of them was
They're
in the
not there.
restaurant.
2 boxes of honey grams are there.
Oh, maybe I'm not remembering right.
Yeah.
Yes, Cynthia says she can see us.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Well, she ought to be here.
Did you see
She's
this?
here, sir.
We're having foster dog issues.
Oh.
So it wasn't your baby that you were having problems with.
No,
it was
this
a
is
new dog.
a brand new foster, and she just for
That's
2
just
days.
wonderful you do
He
that.
has them.
Yeah.
2 days she's found in the corner.
I don't think he knows.
Do you know Rowena? She can't about somebody. Yeah. Dick and Gideon and I met her for lunch. Obviously, the best person on
Just
here.
look up, there are 2 people watching. So Cynthia and maybe Charlotte.
Did you really? Did you see the pictures? We went over and had lunch with Rowena.
I don't know if Shauna's watching or not, but it's Rowena's birthday, so she may not be watching, but she is now watching the Sunday service.
Birthday tomorrow, 20th.
We had 4 viewers last Sunday.
Today is the
Yours is
20th.
Happy birthday.
Today's the 20th.
My watch is off. It says 19.
Oh, what is it?
Well, that's because you're off.
Yeah. We know that. I'm fully aware of that.
Well,
You're 30 glove.
I wasn't paying any attention.
Well, I wasn't paying attention when they came flying by early.
But we do have people that are watching online and really, really enjoying being able to participate in the service even when they physically can't.
Thank you, dear.
I am so not going
Robert,
You know,
are you able to get some stats as to how many people are actually good on the podcast?
The plan that I subscribe to, it tells you immediately how many people are watching the call. But you need to make actually stats.
That costs more money. Lot more. That's too much. Then find out how many people are watching.
What we're on now is $49.
That's his mission. We need to respect when people make that choice.
And there's 2 reasons that I do that. Number 1 is my mission, and number 2, you guys can't help me out with my mission. As soon as you start paying for it,
I got
then you can.
I got a
have
hunch
it
that
done.
number two is more important.
Actually, I'm taking a look right now. Very possible. Let me see.
Okay, let's commence. Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to find my Bible. We're on chapter 18. And 17 began the conversation about Babylon, and we talked about how Babylon was kind of an archetype of the empire. And that John, in trying to talk about empire, could not risk naming Rome, which was the empire that Maxwell was talking about. But as he talks about Babylon, i.e. Rome, it applies to all empires. And so as we think about Babylon, i.e. Rome, we can apply it to any present day empire that exists. So, if you would keep that in mind as we have this conversation, the whole of chapter 18, going through the 10th verse of chapter 19, forms a narrative, a one piece of literature that we need to consider as a whole. So what I'd like to do today, instead of just breaking it down and reading and talking about individual passages, I'd like to talk about the whole thing. So let's just take turns at the beginning, reading chapter 18 through 19. Okay, so someone begin. Wait. Go through verse 3.
And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and every unclean hateful spirit. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
Now remember that when John talks about fornication, he's not talking literally of sexual intercourse. He's talking about the intimate intertwinings between the nations and between those who hold power in the various empires. Okay, so someone read verses 4 through 8.
Then I heard a little voice from heaven say, Come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sin, so that you will not receive any of her plagues. For her sins are piled up to heaven, and God has removed her throne. Give back to her as she has given. Pay her back double for what she has done. Give her a double portion of her own cup. Give her so much torture and grief, and glory and luxury to give herself. In the heart she comes. I said to you, I am not a widow. I am never given. Therefore, in the day of Christ will overtake death, glory, and heaven. He will be consumed by fire, for mighty is the Lord God, is heaven.
Okay, let's end there. One, three, 9 through 11.
When the kings of the earth who committed adultery with her and shared her luxury see the smoke of her burning, they will weep and mourn over her. Terrified at her torment, they will stand far off and cry, Woe, woe, to you great city, you mighty city Babylon! In 1 hour your doom has come. The merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her, because no one buys their cargoes anymore.
So, that's exactly. Actually, go to the
Cargoes of gold, silver, and precious stones and pearls, fine linen, pure purple silk, and scarlet cloth, every sort of citron wood, and articles of every kind made of ivory, costly wood, bronze, and iron and marble. Cargoes of cinnamon, spice, and of incense, myrrh, and frankincense, of wine and olive oil, of fine flour and wheat, cattle and sheep, horses and carriages, and human beings, gold and slave.
Michael, verses 14 to 17.
Everything you've lived for, gone. All delicate and delectable luxury lost. Not a scrap, not a thread to be found. The traders who made millions off her kept their distance for fear of getting burned, and cried and carried on all the more. Doom, doom, the city, great city doom, dressed in the latest fashion, adorned with the finest jewels. In 1 hour, such wealth wiped out.
All right, Robert, read the second half of 17. Actually, just take it to the end of the chapter. And all ship masters.
And all ship captains and travelers by sea, sailors, toilers of the sea, stood off at a distance and cried their lament when they saw smoke from her burning. Oh, what a city! There was never a city like her. They threw dust on their heads and cried as if their world had come to an end. Doom, doom, the great city doomed. All who owned ships or did business by sea got rich on her getting and spending. And now it's over, wiped out in 1 hour. Oh, heaven, celebrate and join in, saints, apostles, and prophets. God has judged her. Every wrong you suffered from her has been judged. A strong angel reached.
Yeah, to the end of the chapter.
A strong angel reached for a boulder, huge like a millstone, and heaved it into the sea, saying, Heaved and sunk the great city Babylon, sunk in the sea. Not a sign of her ever again. Silent the music of harpists and singers. You'll never hear flutes and trumpets again. Artisans of every kind, gone. You'll never see their lights again. The voice of a millstone grinding falls down. You'll never hear that sound again. The light from lamps, never again. Never again laughter of bride and groom. Her traders robbed the whole earth blind, and by black magic arts deceived the nations. The only thing left in Babylon is blood. The blood of saints and prophets murdered and martyred.
Okay. Kathy, read the 19 one, please.
For the house wedding, after this I heard the shout of vast crowd in heaven. Hallelujah! Praise the Lord. Salvation is from our God. Honor and authority belong to Him alone. For the vengeance of just and true. He has punished the great prostitute who corrupted the earth with her sin, and He has avenged the murder of His servants. Again and again their voices sang, praise the Lord. The smoke from the burning descends forever and forever. Then the 24 elders and 4 living beings fell down and worshipped God, who was sitting on the throne, and said, Amen. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. And out of the throne came a voice that said, praise our God, all you his servants, small and great, and fearful. Then I heard again what sounded like a shouting of a huge crowd, or like the waves of 100 oceans crashing on the shore, or like a mighty wind of great thunder. Praise the Lord, for the Lord our God, the Almighty, reigns. Let us be glad and rejoice and honor Him. His time has come before the wedding banquet of the Lamb, and His bride has prepared herself. She is permitted to wear the clean and white and fine of linen. Finally, represents the baby that is with God. And the angel dictated the assembly. Blessed are those who are invited to the wedding feast of the Lamb. And he added, God Himself is faithful. Then I fell down and would speak to worship Him, but He said, no, don't, for I am a servant of God, just as you are, and as your brother and Christians are, who testify of the faith of Jesus. Worship God. The purpose of all prophecy and all I have shown you is to tell about Jesus.
Some of our leaders would be better off.
Heavens, you're on a roll today.
Okay.
Humility is
All right. I wanted you to get the grand sweep of what is being said there. The empire, Rome, which was, a powerful military, economic, political force in the world. The one true superpower. Does that sound familiar? In the world, that it is doomed to judgment, and it's a total kind of thing. But I want you to notice several themes that are mentioned here. Okay? Why don't you do that?
Did distract you.
Good work. Very well. Okay. This vision, I wanted to just kind of just share some themes here. One of the themes is that the wealth of Babylon has been gained at the expense of the many. And this is a central theme in all of the prophetic traditions, beginning in the Hebrew Bible. People like Amos and Isaiah and Jeremiah who talk about the rich and how they tread upon the poor and how they cheat and they lie and they do all kinds of things in order to augment their wealth, which surpasses all human need. And they have more than they need, but they want more, and so they cheat and they lie. And it seems like their greed is rewarded with opulence and much wealth. And the richer they get, the poorer they are. Yeah. Yeah. And that, he goes on and on about she glorified herself and lived luxuriously for 7 then verse 11 to 13, merchants of the earth weep and mourn for us, since no one buys their cargo anymore. Here's the rich who have more money than they need because they have extracted it from the poor, and they're able to buy all this stuff. And he goes on and on about silver, jewels, pearls, fine linen, purple, silk, and scarlet, etc., etc. The fruit for which your soul longs, it's all gone. In the final matter, he's saying, you can get all this stuff in the world, but in the final analysis, what good will it do you? So, well,
they are making
Even though it's the most void land.
they are making caskets bigger. Because it's vital to people. They actually are.
yeah, they are. They are a
Original people.
And now it reminds me of the theaters that virtually sold. All they're worried about is money. They're going to enter the other people. Or elected people.
Or elected people.
yeah, well, that's just one segment of it. And you look at all the super corporations that are making millions off the backs of their employees, paying them
Child labor.
poor wages, using factories that employ child labor among other things, and you don't have to go very far to see, in Asia, in South America, Central America, Mexico.
Let's talk right here, Walmart,
Well, yeah.
who pays their workers so little wages that they're getting food stamps
And they're only hiring now part-time workers to get around to do healthcare law.
right.
Yeah, and Mason's doing that too.
Oh, all of them.
Yeah.
They are.
Oh, wow.
Well, Cambridge wanted to get, to clean the baths. That would have we advocated for children to
Well, that one I agree with.
You're the ones that make it. That's right.
I used to clean one of my part-time jobs in San Diego City. I was a cleaning janitor at the elementary school. Oh, those bathrooms.
They had a figure on the news this morning. 1966 was today. Buying power of the lower 90% is in equal dollars, and the rich, the top 10%, is on $116.
Well,
Rich getting richer and poor is poor.
Now let's be the CEO and pay ourselves good bonuses and.
yeah.
Well, now it's got to come to an end. People aren't going to understand so much.
Well, yes, but I also think that, we are complicit. As long as we patronize the Walmarts and the Macy's and these places that do mistreat their workers, and we're not more discriminating consumers. That's why I believe it's important to support small businesses. Well, yeah. Stores that have good business practices, like Costco, for example, which is big box, but
next to the minimum rate.
yes, and they showed a comparison. I had a comparison of Walmart on one side and Costco on the other. The average wage paid to workers, what benefits are given, and Costco, in the end, makes more profit, not total profit, but in terms of percentage, than does Walmart. So, you can have a profitable business and still treat workers well.
I say our family did it on the boundary. That was my grandfather down in things because he had people work there for 20, 50 years and the average was very, not well paid. You do budget cuts, you do budget elsewhere before you go after them.
Henry Ford said it's very important that his workers be no longer than Ford.
Yeah, about a week ago, I was talking to one of the employees at Costco. He's been there 14 years, and Costco treats employees very well. And we have benefits, and without part-time, so there are some companies that treat the people.
I don't know if you remember a shoemaker by the name of Stride Rite. Remember that brand? They used to make a lot of like the nurses, functional kind of shoes. Stride Rite was a company in someplace in New England. I believe it was either Connecticut or Vermont, one of those. And it was a family-owned company. And during the time when all the shoe manufacturers were shipping their, not shipping, but having their goods made overseas, Stride Rite refused to give up its factory, and the workers said they were the company for many years. And even though the profit margin became slimmer and slimmer because the other companies were getting cheap labor overseas, he refused, and he vowed to his workers, as long as he was alive, they would have a job. And they made enough money, and he didn't do poorly. He did well enough. But when he died, his sons took over the business, and the first thing they did was shut all the workforce and close the factory there. So it happens, and so this one of the themes of this chapter, and he goes into quite detail. The fruit for which your soul long has brought from you, and your dainties. I love that word. And all your dainties and your splendor are lost to you. In other words, it's going to come to an end on that. Okay, so that's one of the themes here. But what he is saying, I think one of the messages is that in Revelation, there is no dichotomy between the religious and the political economic spheres of life. They are all intertwined. And this is part of the prophetic division. That you can't just say, leave politics out of religion, or don't preach about politics. And I've heard that since I've been here.
Is this the only church in your place?
No, but I was surprised that I heard it here. But it was only one person. Yeah.
We did have one.
Well,
Yeah.
It was in response to that letter I sent out by email to the whole, just to advocate for immigration. I remember somebody on that was who no longer comes to church, but still is a member and
I talked to Steve last night. Steve, it would be better if you back out. He says, that's what I do. That's what I preach.
he makes politics is really.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not.
You won't find in the Bible kind of like that. But somehow we've gotten our mind of religion and it's all about our souls and about being Jesus. So, yeah, right, church, right, yeah. Or that the church become a puppet of
Yes.
yeah, that's right, yeah, because that's what was happening in the age.
Right.
Choosing whoever would be willing to.
Right.
But the prophetic tradition in the Bible is a separation, so that once you become a state religion, then your hands are tied. You lose your critical prophetic voice. And what the Bible continues to say is that religion is a critique of any institution, whether it's politics, economic, social, any institution. It's a human institution and it needs to be critiqued. So, anyway, here in verse 4, I want to just point this out. Here, 18:4, I'm sorry. Then I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, so that you do not take part in her sins, and so that you do not share in her place." Of course, the sexual metaphor is clear, but what he is saying is, and what the issue that John raises in this is, how does a Christian, we're told by Paul, you are in the world, but you are not of the world. So the question becomes, what does that mean? How are you in the world, but not of the world? Or as he says, do not be conformed to the world's values. Do not let it squeeze you into its mold, is the way one translation puts it. So, there have been various ways in which Christians through the ages have tried to make this work out as one. Because we live on the earth, we have to buy goods, we have to participate in the economy, we have to participate in the political life. It's our responsibility. But how do you maintain that critical distance from the institution? There are some who say, well, the Mennonites, not the Amish, who separate themselves totally, although they do participate in the commerce in the world. They great furniture makers, same Amish furniture, but and they participate in the economy, but they live separately. They intermarry within their own religion. If you do not participate in their religious mores or values, you are shunned. Where they use. So there have been other separatist movements who have tried to separate themselves. For example, I gave you on Sunday, Ken Jones in Jonestown is an attempt to do that in a different way for different reasons. So this is one response to how you are in the world, but you're not of the world. There have been others. So our relationship to the political life, especially how do we participate in politics? And again, this religion and politics don't mix kind of attitude. Just make it a personal, make religion a personal thing and not a political, social thing. Okay, so that's an issue that he raises there. One of the features in this passage is a combination of voices that confront us who read it. And these voices are kind of, it's almost a sense of glee, that Babylon's getting her due. It's like, kind of attitude at the what happens and the judgment. And you can understand that because they've suffered under Rome for so long and in such violent ways. But then on the other hand, there are laments at the end of this sophisticated culture in which they live. And if we are honest, we can associate and commiserate with the laments of the king, or the merchants, because we profit as part of the first world from all of the machinations of this system, this empire. And the vision of violence is disturbing, but it displays John's understanding that God will not tolerate injustice. But anyway, both voices are heard in this passage. But as far as Christians go, the idea is, to what extent do you participate in the empire, and how do you participate in the empire? That's a question. The other thing is that, well, let me just when I taught in prison, I told you oftentimes that some of the most brilliant people I've known, I found in prison. And it's just that their brilliance is distorted by how they view their relationship with the world. Like I say, in all my time working with prisons, I never found an innocent person according to their own viewpoint in prison. They were all screwed by the system. So, but I often thought, what a waste of intellect, ability. I think I told you when I was doing my clinical master education work at South the inmates once a year would put on a dinner and entertainment activity for the employees. And so I got to go to one. That was better than most of the dinners you can find, in some of the fancies restaurants around. And those guys can do wonderful. And it wasn't just, fried chicken, potatoes, and green. It was cuisine, but it was really good cuisine for me. And the show, they had this jazz program. I can't think of music about that. In person. It was one of the best jazz I've ever heard. The MC, who I later found out was a communist man, was the smoothest MC I have ever heard. I mean, he could go on television, he could go Vegas, whatever, and be an MC. He was so good. And I thought to myself, all this talent, all this ability,
Shannon Wrong.
yeah. And this is the kind of lament I think that is found in chapter 18 and 19. It's like, what a waste. If Rome, have you ever been to any of the Roman provinces or Rome itself? Yeah. I mean, some of the architecture, some of the, not irrigation, sanitation system. Yeah, that works. Yeah, the aqueducts. And they're still working. Yeah. When I went to Ephesus, we went through the ruins, and you would see these things that were built in the time of the Roman Empire, and it's so sophisticated, and all that talent and all that ability. But anyway, that's the lament that we do. Any other comments or voices? All right, let's look at 11 to 21. Someone, we're in 19, I'm sorry. Someone will do that. We're 16.
Then I saw heaven open wide. Oh, a white horse and its rider. The rider named Faithful and True, judges and makes war in pure righteousness. His eyes are a blaze of fire, on his head many crowns. He has a name inscribed that's known only to himself. He is dressed in a robe soaked with blood, and he is addressed as, quote, Word of God. The armies of heaven, mounted on white horses, and dressed in dazzling white linen, follow him. A sharp sword comes out of his mouth, so he can subdue the nations, then rule them with a rod of iron. He treads the winepress of the raging wrath of God, the sovereign strong. On his robe and thigh is written, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. I saw an angel standing in the sun.
Let's just stop there. 16. Yeah. All right, someone read 17.
Then I saw an angel standing in the sun. He cried in a loud voice to all the birds flying in the air, Come, gather together for the great supper of God, so that you may eat the flesh of the kings, generals, and mighty men, of horses and their riders, and the flesh of all people, free and slave, small and great. Then I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against the rider on the horse and his army. But the beast was captured, and with him the false prophet, who had a holy, miraculous sign on his behalf. To see signs he had eluded those who had received the mark of the beast and worshipped his image. 2 of them were thrown alive into the fiery lake of burning sulfur. The rest of them were killed with the sword that came out of the mouth of the rider on the horse. All the birds gorged themselves in the
Okay. Now,
Not three.
no, three pictures. Yes, it's not free. And our revulsion and the violence, the vision that is put before us, I think our immediate reaction is simply to have nothing to do with it and to say, okay, this is not how I see God and God's how God treats people in the creation. And it is a very disturbing picture. Eating human flesh cannibalism. This is it's very disturbing. If we step back from it, instead of just dismissing it, I think that the bigger question is how do we deal with human injustice? John has seen the way the empire has treated people, and his fellow Christians, many of whom have been thrown to the lions, beheaded, and at worst and at best just persecuted. And so, previously we read about, the saints who have died and their voices come to God and say, how long are you going to tolerate it? So there is that sense of, I would say, anger, human anger and injustice, and that's probably what John was feeling. God, how long are you going to allow this stuff, this crap to go on? I think of my friend in Billy, which is last year released from prison after 26 years for a crime he did not commit, and not even an apology from the system. And even at the end, they made it so difficult. Even when the judge ordered him released, they made him stay a couple more days. Oh, we have to finish our paperwork. And so they just kept him as long as they could, just to prolong it a bit more. But if you look at that stuff, and you say, how long do we have to tolerate this kind of injustice? So that's a human reaction. So when John sees all of this stuff, he is I think trying to talk about to balance the love of God with the justice of God. We progressives tend to, I think, if we're honest with ourselves, overemphasize the love of God. I mean, the love of God is truly the greatest attribute of who we understand God to be. God is love. But we tend to dismiss or play down at the worst the idea of God demanding justice, especially justice for the poor and the oppressed. Well, justice, and Jesus had some harsh words to say to people who practice injustice. I mean, you can't get away from it. Jesus did talk about God as a loving Father and embracing the prodigal son, but he also in other passages talked about seed that fell on rocky ground and it didn't bear any fruit and was thrown out, and all that kind of language as well. And when he saw the injustice in the temple, he had turned my temple into a den of robbers and thieves. So there is a kind of a response, I think, that of God to human injustice. So I don't think we can just dismiss it. But that's the message I get to it, not the violent kind of eating unclean flesh or throwing people into a lake of burning fire. Oh yeah.
And take this information without understanding what was behind it and the symbolism and, and take it word for word and do such injustice.
Yeah, and that's always a danger of a literal reading of Scripture. So, anyway, that's my takeaway. Chapter 20, I want to get into because it raises some themes that I think you find when you talk to more of our fundamentalist sisters and brothers, the millennium and the last battle. So I want us to read this. Let's go and spend some time on it. Okay, chapter 20, verses 1 through 6.
Then I saw an angel come down from heaven with the key to the bottom of the pit and heavy chains. He seized the dragon, that old serpent, the devil, and bound him in chains for 1,000 years, and threw him into the bottom of the pit, which is in shut and locked, so that he could not fool the nations anymore until the 1,000 years were finished. Afterwards, he blew again for a little while. Then I saw thrones and sitting on them for those who had been given the right judgment. And I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded for their testimony about Jesus, what was said in the word of God, and who had not worshipped the creature or his statue, nor accepted his mark on their forehead or their feet. They had come to life again, and now they know his right for 1,000 years. This is the first resurrection. The rest of the dead did not come back to life until 1,000 years today. Blessed and holy are those who share in the first resurrection. For them, the second death holds no terror, for they will be priests of God in Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years.
This has become for the fundamentalists, these first 6 verses, one of the 5 fundamentals of the faith. They believe that if you are a Christian, you believe in these 5 fundamentals. That's why they're called fundamentals. And the birth of God, the divinity of Christ, but one of these is the millennium. And the belief, and more specifically, a pre-millennial view of this passage. If you look at your handout that I gave you,
Glossary.
Yeah, it's on this side. Okay. In the glossary of term are the terms millennium, post-millennium, and post-millennialism, and pre-millennialism. Okay. This has to do with when Christ will return in relationship to this 1,000-year reign. Okay, so Satan is bound, according to you take a literalist view of this. Satan is bound and put in a hole and kept in a hole for 1,000 years. During the 1,000 years, there is a belief that there will be a peaceful reign accompanied by the saints called the true believers. So that's the millennium, the 1,000 years. So, pre-millennialists believe And if you look in the glossary of terms, premillennialists, and this is where most of the fundamentalists fall, they believe that true believers will be, quote, raptured. Remember the rapture? That they will be raptured by Jesus before this 1,000-year peaceful reign by Christ on the earth. Most of them believe, if you read on further, that the rapture will occur prior to what is called the tribulation. And you can read the tribulation means lower on. Others believe that the rapture will take place after the tribulation, but before the millennium. So yes, both groups see social action as well as all other work, good works, as doomed to failure, and thus the work of the Antichrist. So what we believe to be the sexual work of our discipleship, that's all for naught.
What happened to making the heaven on earth?
Thrown out. Yeah, well, according to them, that's the work of the Antichrist. To try and solve our social ills is fruitless because God's in charge of everything, and if God's in charge of everything, He'll bring to pass what He'll bring to pass. And who are we to mess with that?
The spirit of the field may go on.
Never mind what Jesus preached.
Okay, yeah, no, well, that certainly is not what we believe.
No.
I didn't know until recently that the rapture was actually pulled out of Thessalonians.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where
Yeah.
that was
Okay, post-millennialists believe that the rapture will take place after the 1,000 years of peace. So true believers will still be around during the reign of Christ for the 1,000 years. Well, it's the way they take these words literally, and they parse the words, and they take clues from different things. Not only here, but in describing the judgment and all.
So at this time, were they using our calendar that we use today?
Yes, the Roman calendar. So it's a 1,000 years, and it's interesting because
We can actually enter the end of the 1,000 years in our date planner.
yeah. That's what they say anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. The word for 1,000 is helia, heliastic, Chiliastic. If you're a post-millennialist, we'll be around for the peace of time. Excuse me. And those who are called amillennialists, and this is those who don't believe that there is any such thing, are called heretics.
That's like being amoral.
Yeah. Okay. So, but anyway, this is the passage from which these 6 verses become one of the fundamental verses or passages on which they base it. And it's based upon this human hope that, all the stuff we're going through, it's got to come to an end. And there's got to be something better. And if God's in charge, then this is where they get their hope. That, it's not through human progress, it's not through peacemakers, it's not through social activists, but it's through God bringing about this 1,000 years, just breaking into history and just doing it all by God Himself. not really.
Would it make more sense than as you see patterns repeated and repeated and repeated throughout history?
Yeah, but Kitty, my viewpoint is that yes, all human endeavors are human. They're finite. But certainly God calls us to make the world better than it is. So
These people are more or less predestined.
oh yeah. The one thing that they say we can do is to force God's hand. And therefore, to bring the 1,000-year return of Christ. And so what they look for all the signs. And that's why, as I told you previously, fundamentalists are very much for Israel. Because one of the precursors to the 1,000-year reign is that Israel will claim the Palestine for itself and all the Jews will move back into the Holy Land. And when that happens, that's one of the conditions for all of this.
One of the things with being gospel, 48.
Yes.
They have.
Oh, yeah.
Another thing, for years.
Yeah.
What you guys said on?
He wanted Israel, all things that everybody Israel and how
That's why a lot of the evangelical fundamentalist churches are supportive of candidates who are for Israel. So they anything having to do with the two-state solution is to them anathema. And they base it on.
Never mind that I just.
No,
That's incidental.
but Jews are the chosen people.
Yeah.
So it's important that they play their role in all of these things. Okay. Someone read verse 7 through 10.
So when the 1,000 years are up, Satan will be let loose from himself. And we will launch again his old work of deceiving the nations, searching out victims in every nook and cranny of earth, even God and Magog, and will plot them into going to war. And will gather a huge army, millions strong, will stream across the earth, surround and lay siege to the camp of God's holy people, the beloved city. They'll no sooner get there, than fire will pour out of heaven and burn them up. The devil who deceived them will be hurled into lake fire and brimstone, joining the beast and false prophet, the three in torment around the clock for 2 weeks without end.
Okay. He's introducing here something that's from the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, the concept of Gog and Magog. Gog and Magog are images that come from the book of Ezekiel, and what was introduced in the book of Ezekiel, representing the nations of the earth. So these are the hordes that, according to Ezekiel's prophecy, will descend on Israel. It's easy pickings, right? Israel is just a small country, and so it's kind of the battle of the haves and the have-nots, the big guys and the small guys, David and Goliath. So Gog and Magog descend upon Israel, but they're going to be defeated in battle, according to Ezekiel. Here in Revelation, the battle is that's described in verses 8 through 9, parallels the battle in 19, if you read the previous chapter. In which in 1919, the battle is led by the beast. And the beast is the representative of Satan, the one who comes up out of the sea, right? This time, it's the devil himself, Satan himself, who comes and leads the charge because he's been let out of his 1,000-year prison sentence. And Satan leads the charge, but he is defeated. He and those who follow the ways of Satan are thrown into the lake of fire. So, what it's talking about is this great purging of evil from the earth. And that eventually, in the end, it's kind of like Noah and the ark. Yeah, God just kind of gets tired of it all, and in the end, I got to start over. So he wipes out everything except Noah and all the denizens that are in the ark. So we're going to start all over. It's that kind of image that's happening here. All the those who follow the ways of the empire are left out, and everyone else, the true believers, are the ones who are left behind. The Noahs to start again. And what's described in chapter let's read on in verses 11 to the end of the chapter.
Then I saw a great white throne in him who was seated on it. The earth and the heaven fled from his presence, and there was no place for them. And I saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne, and the books were opened. Another book was opened, which is the book of life. The dead were judged according to what they had done, as recorded in the books. The seas gave up the dead that were in it, and death, and the cave gave up the dead that were in them. And each person was judged according to what they had done. The death and the Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. The lake of fire is the second death. Anyone whose name was not found written in the book of life was thrown into the lake of fire.
Okay. Here's a great level. The separation of the sheep and goats. The judgment upon the empire that closes out the period of judgment. Disturbing. It's kind of a picture of condemnation and judgment. And you can't get away from it. It's here, and it is what it is. And this is John, and this is how he believes.
You know, the plan of learning is probably here. They say if it keeps getting hot, it will be unlivable.
Yeah, Gore statement about climate change is that by 2050 it's irreversible. And I think
it's sooner than that. That just raises the speed.
So it was the best case scenario.
close to that, like,
You know, who's ever heard 100-degree temperatures and all that?
Well, it was kind of warm when I was there for the midnight sun. But yeah, it is much warmer, and what's terrifying is the rate at which the great glaciers and icebergs are melting.
My wife and I went up there to visit my cousin who took us. There was one glacier where you can actually park and walk up to the glacier, and they had signs every like 5 years.
Retreat.
Yeah, it's retreated 4 miles over the past 10 years. Yeah.
See my partner in Alaska right now on Facebook. And she's like, one of her notes was 85 degrees in Denali. What?
Yeah. It's funny.
Well, I think that's what it was when I was there. It was in the 80s, and when I ran the midnight sun run at o'clock in the evening, it was 80 degrees.
On the radio, someone said,
But it was never 100. It was even close.
and one of these people doesn't believe in it. There's nothing wrong with the way you know, of course, you know, there's no earth.
Water. Well, there may be some.
We're raising crops in northern Canada.
We'll find out, won't we?
Yeah, we will. But this is certainly thought provoking.
Yeah. Well,
It really is.
what is the world going to look for to breed for our children? Is this our legacy?
What did I do for China? Everything that we hear from friends. Yeah.
Hey, they don't make coffee in Lawrence.
They said the correction for that happened in the tsunami, radioactive activated quality water, and they said it was sensitive writing. Their hand had it right on a day-to-day. And they said it's really something that kind of water is radioactive. Got a big problem with it. Yeah.
Oh.
And they just put through it. Now, at some point, it gets too hot for man to live. Wow. You can't raise your crop, you won't have any out.
It's water.
But water is the first thing. 15, 20 years. In fact, it's coming critical now.
Oh, wow.
I hope that I was
I don't know whether I want to be around here.
That sounds pretty good. You don't have to worry about it, because if they throw you in the lake of fire, you aren't going to be around either.
Well, in Dante's Inferno, those who are thrown in the lake of fire, you're not consumed, so you keep burning.
Oh, it's everlasting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Right.
I wonder what happens to those of us who are already ashes. We're already been cremated.
Not before your soul gets born.
That thing where it said all the dead are called up. That's where the concept of purgatory comes from.
Yeah.
Where you die in your cycle.
Yeah. Okay, next week we're going to read 21 and 22. What happens after the great village? Okay.
And that's the one over. It's about the cheerful part of it.
Inside of it. But it is a sense of triumphalism, which I find
Now, speaking of that, Lisa Rogers out there, Cynthia's out there, I'm not sure if you've heard of this. But Lisa Rogers typed in a question. That's why I typed this. And she said that, I didn't want to interrupt everything. People online are and they can, but it's like a 60 second delay. So,
It'll be okay.
so just put a question we will ask. That work? So just stop.
They got a question.
We have a question. How about you?
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you, viewer.
Thank you, viewer. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you.
Good not seeing ya.
This podcast is brought to you by Robert Andrews Incorporated.
And Lisa is watching from up at the lake.
Yes,
That's the way to
I
watch.
went and Sue's watching with us. Smart.
North Wisconsin and
Oh, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So nice to see everybody else's cool and beautiful day.
I know. What's the matter, Wally?
No, I should have.
Got to go to the minister's lunch.
No, fine.
Goodbye, all. Thanks for joining.
Oh, my. I know, it's the first time in my life that I really understood.
Me too. I mean, I feel much better about it. I mean, it's better.
It's made it interesting enough.
Yes.
I want to go back and read it.
Well, and it also makes some sense as far as it's just its existence. I mean, why even mess with this?
Oh, okay. And then she is thrown away. It works well. This saves us money.
Thank you, Wally.
Thank you, Wally. You're welcome. Thanks, Kathy. It's not stopping. Shift escape.